going to talk about how to take the piece that you've made and turn it into a rose, the look of a rose. You can see the one I've made here, and I'll try to hold it up a little closer so you can see. And this particular one, I've started out with the piece that we wet felted earlier, and then I cut it into some different shapes, and I'll show you my pattern here that I've been working with. And depending on the size of your piece, you can make something similar. I have gotten so I just cut it by hand and don't worry with the pattern, but I thought to show you it might be easier to draw this out. So you can see I just laid this on a piece of paper and I drew around the size of the circle of felt. And then what I've done is I have 2 petals, and here's about the size of it. And so I'm going to cut 2 petals like this, 1, 2 there, and then this part is going to be cut out. So what I usually do is I cut up this way, and then I just cut a circle out in the center. And like I said, I don't ever mark it on the felt. You could, but it doesn't have to be exact. I just cut down the center and around here. And then I'll have these 2 petals that I'll cut out, and I just kind of eyeball that too, but we can use the pattern. And then the rest of this, I curve the edges at each side, and this whole piece then becomes the majority of the rose. This piece is just set aside. And I'll show you on the rose here, the completed one, where those parts are going to go. This, you start by rolling it up, and I'll show you how to do that. It's all needle felted. And that piece starts in the center, rolled up, rolled up, and rolled up, and it finishes here. And then I add these 2 extra petals. Now you don't have to do it that way, but I wanted a full looking rose, so you can see where those 2 petals are placed in there. If you wanted an extremely full rose, you could make another felted circle and cut out more. So that would be another way to do it. I've done this other rose that I have here. I did pretty much entirely with this shape. They're a little bit bigger petals, but not much. And all it is just separate petals, and you see some of them are a little bit bigger, all the way around. And I just had a very small one. In one of those petals, I just kind of twisted up really tight and made that sort of the center of the rose. So that's another way. And you may invent a way of your own, but this will get you started. Sometimes once you start and make a few of them, then you get some other ideas of your own. So let's cut out this piece and get started to see how we can put it together. Down through here, and then I'm going to cut my circle and just cut around here. That's one of the things about felting. It's very forgiving, and you can kind of play around with it, and even if it's not exactly the way you were hoping it would be, you can always make changes as you go along. Now, this first little corner, I kind of look at the edge here, and I'm just going to trim this off here, so it will sort of continue on that line of sort of the edge of a flower. And then I'm going to take my pattern for these 2 extra petals, and I'll just put it on here, and I'll cut 2 of them out. And while I'm doing it, I can try to look at the edges and see. I may not use exactly this. I kind of like the way this comes out over here. So I'm just going to trim that off over there. And maybe trim a little bit off here. Like that for that one. And then we'll do one more. Right about here would be good. And I always try to look at this edge here to see, you know, how it has felted and how that might work for the edge of that petal. Okay, and now I've got those two petals, and we'll set those aside. And then we have this piece that I've already trimmed, curved that edge, and I'm going to do the same over here, and I'll curve that edge off. So there's our pieces, and now we'll start. The first part is to make in the center of a rose, it's usually, you know, really tight as it starts out. It's a little bud, and you could even make a little bud. You could probably make a couple of little rosebuds just from this piece here. You could make a couple if you wanted just to make some rosebuds. So just fold it over like that and kind of roll it up, and every one will look a little bit different, just like regular flowers. So you can see how I've rolled it up there a little bit. And I'm going to take my felting needle and just start punching here, about the last inch, half inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. And then we're just going to keep rolling it and rolling it along here and punching it into itself. This one, I haven't used that little felt ball. I just have found that if I felt it into itself, that works just fine. So as I roll it around here and just keep rolling it around, when I get about halfway or so, if I want to make it more full, then I will take this and make a little pleat. You can see how I have this all felted down this far, and then I'm just going to fold that back on itself, and you see how it's going to make it a little more full here. So I'm just going to hold it down there and needle felt it to the rest there. Now do you see how it's getting a little bit more full? Then I come around here and I'll make another pleat. And again, needle felt it down to itself and come around like that. I think I'm going to put one more little pleat right there. And I need to work a little bit more because it's not, you know, holding together quite as much as I want, but I need to work on this a little bit more on the back, and I can show you what it looks like here on the back side. But I need to work some more there. Then next comes, I'm going to overlap. I'll hold it like this so you can see. Here's the end of this, and I'm going to overlap just a little bit and add that piece on there. And this is going to take a little bit more time than I'm doing on the video here to needle felt that down so it'll all stay together. And then the next one, I'm going to overlap that next petal that we just put on. And you can see here how I overlap that and then continue needle felting that down. There it goes. Now, I'm going to need to work some more around the bottom here to make it nice and tight and dense. And then when we come back, then you can see, you can shape the leaves a little bit more, and it's already taking on the look of a rose. So there you are, and you have fun working on yours, and make sure that you spend a lot of time punching on the back side here so it gets nice and dense, because then we're going to come in and either put your pin on there, or maybe some leaves, or even put a stem on there. So this needs to be very, very dense at this end of the of your flower. But now you can see how that worked. And like I said, you could even try making some little rosebuds, several if you wanted to, instead of just one rose. Anyway, there you go. Hope you've had fun experimenting with making your own rose. And we'll see you back here for another one of our flowers.